Good morning. This is Rabbi Shlomo Furst substituting this morning for Rabbi Reuven Levitt in his Gemora Shir. This is Yeshiva Tsama Nafshi, located here in Yerushalayim Kodesh. We're learning the Gemora in Bava, Daf Mem Daled Amid Aleph.
You won't be able to finish it, that's no problem. Do it it's all again when he comes. That's nice. You can do the subdivision.
No, we'll tell him to finish
tomorrow.
If we finish it, we'll tell him.
That's no problem if you finish it.
Okay, whatever. I'm at your service. Whatever you feel is.
We have a call for Chomer
Yes.
that says that an adult has to pay if he damages,
Right.
and a child doesn't have to pay if he damages.
Roy Koichel or not Koichel. Yofikoichel. Right.
So therefore, the child is the call, and the adult is the Chomer. And therefore, we can say that just as, I'm sorry, the other way around. The adult is the call and the child is the Chomer.
Why? Because the child is less vulnerable, right?
He's stronger.
He's
stronger in his
so that's considered to be Kal.
That's considered to be Chomer.
Chomer. That's considered to be Chomer. Good. Okay. The child's Chomer is more serious, more weighty.
No. That's considered to be Kal. Child is Kal.
No, you're right. The issue, the man and woman, the adults, are the cow. That's what he says.
Oh, you're right.
That's what
Yeah.
he said yesterday.
Confusing.
Right.
Okay, so we learned from the adult that the tom gets skila if it kills an adult. Therefore, isn't it logical that the child also gets skila if the tom also gets skila for killing a child? That's the Kovachomer. So then the Gemora challenged it and it said, but an adult is chayav in the mitzvahs, and the child is not. Therefore, the adult is actually more chomer, and therefore you can't have this Kovachomer.
Right. Good.
So Rabbi Levitt said, how can you compare a reasoning which is based on halacha, on din, which is the din of paying or not paying, with a reasoning that's based on a svara, which is the commandments. The commandments are not directly connected to any of this. So how can you have a svara that overpowers a din? That's the question.
Okay.
I'm not sure that whole question originally is a din. You know, when you're saying a din, I don't know what you mean by the word din. The whole concept before we were trying to extend the case. That first Kal V'chomer was trying to extend the case of the muah to the tom. That's what we were trying to do in the whole first
The Gemora
case.
said we now have proven by muad that there's no difference a tam or by skila, by an adult or a child. There's no difference by a tam
Right.
or a muad by an adult or a child by muad. So now what about tam? Can we now somehow prove that by a tam also there's no difference skila by a victims being adult or children? Right. That was the Gemara's attempt. Trying to bring some proofs to this halacha. I want to prove a halacha through the various ways that the Gemora is trying, either the din or the Kovachomer. Okay.
That's what they tried to do.
Right. So what was wrong with the Gemora? The Gemora made an attempt. What was basically wrong with the Gemora's attempt?
And
Nothing according to the Gemora. We're only dealing with Rabbi Levitt's issue, which is that how can you slug up a din base with a svara?
Again, and what's the svara?
Svara is the commandments. That an adult is chayav, therefore adult is more chomer. So you wanted to say that adult is more kal, and therefore you're learning from kal to chomer. But now we're showing, based on this principle, that the adult is more chomer, and therefore you can't learn from a chomer to a kal.
why isn't the fact that the adult
Mohammed, because
what-
he's
no,
chayiv mitzvah.
what, if the adult is chayiv mitzvah,
Mitzvah, and the
right?
child isn't.
And the child isn't chayiv mitzvah.
Right.
So why isn't that a din? Why isn't that a din? What's wrong with that?
There's a halacha by adults that they're chayiv mitzvah. There's a halacha by children that they're not chayiv mitzvah.
So why isn't that a din?
That's
So
a
why
din.
isn't that also a din?
Why isn't that a din? Why
Why
is
isn't
that?
that
Why is that?
Why isn't that also a din?
considered to be a
I
svura?
don't know.
Why-
That's what he said yesterday.
No, I know.
Right.
We just okay. We're trying to understand what we're trying to look at. It could
I
be.
mean, the Gemara accepts the reasoning of that as an upslugging. You know, the Gemara says that's the reason why it's
Gemara
upslugging.
just
So the
states
Gemara's
it as a
agreeing
fact.
with it. We just try to find background reasons for a Gemara, but the Gemara definitely says the Gemara definitely accepts it as an upslugging of the Kala.
Right, so because basically what you tried to tell me that by the children they're raw koiche, right? That they
Right.
that why? Because they don't have to pay. If they do damage, they don't have to pay, right? So, but we're saying, well, take a look. Why don't they have to pay, right? They don't have to pay, just like they don't have to. They're not chayiv in any mitzvahs. They don't. This is just another aspect of a mitzvah that they don't have to do. Paying, right? When you have to pay because of damages, that's a mitzvah which you have to fulfill, just like any other mitzvah in the Torah, right? Listening to shofar on Rosh Hashanah, sitting in the sukkah on Sukkot, eating matzah on Pesach. Those are mitzvahs deraisa. If a person has a chiyuv to pay, al pi Torah. So what he's doing when he's making that payment, he's fulfilling a mitzvah deraisa.
Oh, but you want to say that's a mitzvah, but I want to say it's not a mitzvah. The halacha is he doesn't pay, so it's not a mitzvah for him to pay,
But the question is, why doesn't he have to pay?
because that's the halacha.
But isn't that a din? Isn't that a din? It's not a svora. It's a din.
Certainly. That's the first case. First case we agree is a din. The question is the second case, when we say that he's not chayiv in the mitzvahs. I'm saying it's not that he doesn't pay because he's not chayiv in the mitzvahs. He doesn't pay because the halacha is he doesn't pay. It's a mitzvah for him not to pay.
So isn't that the same thing?
No. I'm saying that's a different thing. It's one thing to say he's chayiv, but then he's exempt. It's another thing to say he never was chayiv in the first place, because the halacha says he doesn't pay.
The Rashi says over here, Yofa koichan, right? Yofa koichan, what does Rashi say? Right? The chorish shote v'kotin p'giyasun raw, right? Why achoyvu behem chayiv, right? Vehem shechavlu be'acherim potri. And they who damage other people are potter.
Right, they're patur.
They're potter.
They're not chayiv.
Now,
It's not that they're chayiv and then we give them exemption. It's their patur in the beginning.
can they go ahead and cause damage?
No. They're just patur from paying, doesn't mean it's
Now, but so now let's think about why are they potter for, at this point in the moral, let's say, why should they be potter from payment?
Because they're not chayiv in mitzvah.
That'll be the Gemora. Well, that'll be the Gemora later on. Look, at this point, I don't think the Gemora doesn't seem to be dealing with it. I agree with you, but maybe let's say because they don't have what to pay. They don't have any money.
Or maybe because we don't hold them responsible. Children are not responsible.
Well, they all together. Chorish shota v'katan. The shoita,
What's a chavish?
he's deaf and dumb. Deaf and dumb. He's potter for mitzvahs midaraisa. A shoita also. Let's say you have a shoita. He's a 35-year-old shoita. Maybe he owns $1 million. Right? He's a shoita.
So you want to say that it's because
Mentally, halakhically, he's not considered to be sane halakhically. He owns $1 million.
I hear.
He's potter. Rashi didn't. Rashi grouped it all together. That they're potter from paying.
But does he say that it's because they're patur from mitzvahs?
They're not responsible.
No, at this point, no, that hasn't been introduced, right? It's actually it's a Gemora in Pei Pei Zayin Amid Aleph. If you want, we can take a look, and I don't know if you have it in your Pei Zayin, and take a look at the Gemora over there. What's the Gemora say? Pei Zayin, if you have the Gemora there, Pei Zayin, maybe you have to look on for those who. Pei Zayin Amid Aleph. It's actually part of the Mishnah here.
Goes into pagan.
Okay, and we got one here. No.
Almost got it.
Next door, they might have someone that understands their, in the bank Knesset thing.
Next question.
Yeah, they brought it down from upstairs.
So Katan is patur from pay because she has no money?
We're trying to explore, we're trying to explore right now why, when Rashi said they're poetry, why,
Because Shoti can have money and he still doesn't pay.
so we said,
Either
so
shot-
that's why,
shot-
right, exactly. You have a chorish shot, because they could be adults, and they could have money, let's say they had an inheritance of millions, billions of dollars.
So the reason why they don't pay is because they're not responsible.
So we have to think about that.
Inherently.
We have to think about what we're trying to delve into the
You may,
essence of their patur.
well, you may go back to the concept that they're officially considered to have no das.
Yeah,
And since they have no das, they can't be held responsible. Now the question is, should you say the same result holds and true of a says versus lotas says? So lotas says definitely there should be no penalty because there's no das, that they should not know, not be held responsible because they don't understand what the lotas say is. And knowing the say, then the question is, I guess, but there's no chiyuv. There can be a reshut, but there doesn't have to be a.
They could be chayim medurabanim. Meduraisa not. Medurabanim. Right? No one says they can go and be mechal Shabbos. I mean, But again, if they're a child, you have a cut who's mechal. He plays with the lights. He has a toy that makes noise. Right? He's doing boirer. He's picking out the from the sand. The
bones from the fish.
Yeah. So I mean, even their father is not obligated to stop him from doing it until he reaches a certain age, because he's not. Again, I'm not saying you should give the children toys to play with that are considered to be mooks and things like this, but if so, you're not obligated necessarily to take them away. So we have the Mishnah. Pei Zayin Amid Aleph. It's sort of in the middle of the Mishnah. It says here. You have it there in. It's about 10 lines. It's about 7 lines down from the
Everywhere Shapti get them, right?
Yes, it's Cheshin Vov, right? That's an abbreviation. That's an abbreviation for Chorish Shot of a Katan, right? Piyosam Ro. Have it there? What does that mean, right? Chorish Shot of a Katan Piyos. That's what Rashi quoted to us. You meet up with them. It's a bad encounter. Literally. A chorish shot of a cotton, it's a bad encounter. Why is it a bad encounter? You run into a chorish shot of a cotton, it's a bad encounter. Why? A chayvu behen chayiv. The person who damages them, right? He's chayiv. Vehem shechavlu, and they that damage acherim, other people, potrim, they're potter, right? Avol mishalmim acher zman. How do you like that? But they're going to pay after Zman. We'll have to understand what's after Zman.
No, that's if he becomes sound mind at a later point.
Well, the cut is about he's going to be born.
He'll become a mitzvah at a later point.
Yeah, he'll become later.
So the question is, but when you say he paid, you say the shuttin, say he's going to the shuttin. They use the word nirepet. Then he becomes healed, becomes whole, and the other guy gets his hearing back or whatever. But the question is a cotton. There's the theory though that it's more common that the cotton will eventually grow up and will become chayav. So the question is anything he's going to do put him in suspense, and then all of a sudden, once he turns from mitzvah, he has responsibility for everything he did in that time before.
Oh, so just the halacha. This is a while back. Then, almost the very end of Hilchos Shabbos, right? So it says as follows. Dini katan b'Shabbos, right? The law of a child on Shabbos. Katan oichel levelis, katan is eating non-kosher meat. Ain't based in mitzum la'afrisho. Based in is not obligated to stop him from doing it. Okay? Avol aviv mitzvah legarboy. But the father is obligated to shout at him la'afrisho, to have him stop doing it. Mi'isra deraisa, from Mi'isra deraisa. He sees a child, a father who sees a child doing some Mi'isra deraisa, he's obligated to stop him from doing with it. To shout at him, doesn't say to hit him, right? Now, va'achilo be a daim, also to feed him, a child, right? Something is forbidden in the Torah is also that you can't feed him that. I feel devarim osrim. I feel things which are medivrei sofrim. You can't even feed him something which is also medivrei sofrim. Okay, well, we're not going to. Yeah, the rabbanon, right? Laharhiko lebichilu Shabbos umoid afilu b'devarim shein sham shvus. Right? It's also to habituate him to be machal Shabbos and Yom Tov, right, in things which even are midrabanan. You can't, yeah, muksa. You can't have the child, even though he's not a bar das, even though he's not bar mitzvah yet, you can't have him be doing things on a regular basis. Again, like if he goes into underneath the kitchen, he starts playing with the electric toaster oven or something like that. Whether you should stop him or not, that's another story. But to give it to him before Shabbos in an area and have it in a place where he can habitually play with these things, you shouldn't do that. Okay? V'yesh omrim dekol zeh dekatan delays liyegechino. This is all talking about a katan who has not yet reached the age of chinuch, training. Aviyigila chinuch tzrichin la'afrisho. You must stop him from doing these things. Okay, that's the shayla with because of chinuch, right? Yesh omrim delo shayach chinuch ledivrei soprim ela la'av bilvad. Some say that it is only shayach by dini d'rabbanan, only for the father to have a mitzvah of chinuch for the child at all. The katan haka es aviv or eved or over al shar averis bekatnu. So let's say you have a child, right? That's this week's parsha, right? Beginning of this week's parsha, if I'm not mistaken. Child that hits his father, or is over on other averis bekatnu. So afal pisha in his childhood, right? You have a child who hit his father, or was over on other averis during his childhood, even though he doesn't have to do tshuva, right? Because when he gets older, he doesn't have to do tshuva when he gets older. Nevertheless, tovlo yikabel al atzmo eza davar le'teshuva le'chapara. Nevertheless, if he did such things like that, it's good that he should accept upon himself something to do tshuva and to have an atonement for it because of what he did. Over Kodim Shanasa Bar Onshim, even though he did it before he was a Bar Onshim. Okay? So, what about damages? If I'm not mistaken, the Mishnah Brewer goes into a little bit. Toivlo, the Ramah finished off by saying, even though he was, he doesn't have to do tshuva, nevertheless, it's good that he should do something, right, to make an effect for tshuva for what he had done when he was still young. Toivlo, it's good that he should do. Now, katan should goinev, or hezik, right? Let's say he had a child that stole. When he was a child, he stole something, right? Or he did damage, right? Roy lebeistin la koso shalo yargulbo. If a child is going to be doing these things, right? Meaning it's good for Beis-Din to step in and forcibly stop the child so he shouldn't become habitual to do these things, right? Anything that's to do between interpersonal relationships, that the child is doing things that are destructive, right? It's a mitzvah of the Beis-Din to stop him from doing it. Shlo yir to kala al shlo yir shouldn't occur to kala al yadav, meaning there shouldn't be some damage done through him. I mean, Beis-Din, if he sees the child's doing something which is down, he's throwing firecrackers on Purim or the weeks before Purim. 8-year-old, 9-year-old, he bought a bunch of firecrackers, right? He's throwing them close to the Beit Zakanim, right? He's disturbing the peace, right? Basin should step in and take care of this kid, right?
That happens, you know.
Of course it happens. You know, why do you think the kids?
4th of July.
You'll be hearing another week. Next week is Rosh Chodesh, right? You'll be hearing the firecrackers, right? And it's disturbing people. It's not people, pleasant people, especially older people. They want peace and quiet, and these things are going on. No, yes, yeah. Yeah. So okay, we'll get a basement together, and we'll be the head of the basement.
What about the
But that's only.
And they do cap
A lot of places say they shouldn't bring cap guns into the place. Yeah, they shouldn't bring cap guns.
You talk about different statements. You try to talk about preventive and education and cleanup. You're not talking about compensation for what occurred.
Oh, so
The kid who breaks, plays baseball or cricket, however you want to play, however you are, will find and the ball goes into something and breaks the window. I guess halacha, nobody is not responsible because the kid's not responsible for it.
That's what the
even the
Mishnah
parent,
says.
even the parent's not responsible for the kid who did that.
That's what it says. Pigyasim raw. It's a bad encounter. Why? Because if he does damage, he's putter. And if you damage him, you have to pay. So but we'll give him sugar another minute of Mishnah Berurah, right? Right. So if he's doing damage or anything that's disturbing the peace between people, Basin is obligated to stop him from doing these things, so it shouldn't cause damage. Aval ein tzorach l'shalem im eina geneva be'ein. Let's say he stole a gold watch when he was a kid. He was in the mikveh. He was 9 years old. He saw this gold watch on the bench there, and he snatched it. Now he's 4 years later. He's 13. Gold watches. Who knows what's happened to the gold watch? He sold it 16 times down the line. It's gone. So if he doesn't have it around anymore, he doesn't have to pay, right? It calls them medina. This is all according to the strict letter of the law. According to the above, beyond the letter of the law, whether he did damage with his own physical body, or whether he did damage through some type of money, some types of objects that belong to him, he's obligated to pay. With me, he's obligated to pay. Okay, but you see, that's the halakha. That's the halakha.
What if the watch is still there? Forget about it.
If it's Me'ain,
If it's
Me'ain, he should give it back.
If he has it still.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
not Lifnei Mishur Zadin. If he
No,
still has it.
and if he
still
knows
has
who,
it,
and if he
return.
knows who stole it from, he just was on the bench. The guy, 17 guys were in the mikveh at the time. He doesn't know who he stole it from. What's he supposed to do? He'll put it back there?
No, that's the Chavetz Chaim getting fished everybody. He didn't pay for it that day. Yeah, that's Lifnei Mishur Zadin.
Okay, he's doing much more than that. Okay, so there you have it.
This is the Rambam?
This is Mishnah Berurah. This is here. Take a look. It's the end of the Ramah at the top of the page there.
So the bottom line was he's not obligated to pay.
According to the strict letter, he's pigyasim raw. Choyvu behem is chayiv behem shechovu b'acherim potri. Right. But now, what is the Mishnah? In light of this, what does it mean? Al mishalim lacher zman. We just read a Ramah and Mishnah Berurah.
Says no.
What's the pshat in the Mishnah? Abu Mishal and Aker's man.
Lifnei Mishur Zadin.
No, you're there. I don't know. We'll have to see if your explanation's written on the side or not.
Where's my pencil?
Okay, let's take a look. We're just getting started here. Right? I don't know, when Rabbi Levitt comes back tomorrow, you'll go back to whatever you want to go to. But I'm just trying to get understanding what's the essence when he said.
You're
when
right,
he said.
finish it. I'll never finish it.
That's Rabbi Levitt's job. The Havdil in the public schools, when there's a substitute, the kids have fun with the teacher. When in yeshivas, when there's a substitute, the teacher has fun with the talmid. So, but I'm just saying, based on Rashi said they're patur, which is based on this Mishnah, right? So we say that they're now Rashi and our Rashi and our Gemora never mentioned about this idea of avu mishalim la'achar zman, right? You have to pay la'achar zman. So let's see if there's a Rashi on the Mishnah. Yeah.
Rashi and Ava. Isha.
Yeah,
Shechador,
let's see. Let's see. Okay, we can try and get some Mishnayos to find out how the Furst was saying the Mishnayos. One moment. And let me get some Mishnayos. We'll take a look at the parish Mishnayos in a second. Right back.
Which one, Pei Zayin? This one?
Yeah, that's the Gemora in Pezahim, right? Right, that's in the Perek Shmini. 1 second, hold on.
Guess we're not gonna get up to the Mishnah today.
I think we've established that fact, yes. Sorry.
I had a problem with that Rashi yesterday, I still understand it. But that's why she didn't went on.
Yeah, we didn't make sense out of that.
Right.
What?
Make sense out of that, Rashi.
Yeah.
Reuven, yeah.
Mishnah.
Oh,
Kahali. Okay. Perish Shokifakata, Gira off, the Cholel Beheb Chaya, the Hamish Cholel Beheri Patori. Okay. That's what we just learned.
it's on Pei Zayin, right?
No, this is the Mishnah, the Mishnah is. Rob just says the obvious thing that you know. The Kahati. The Kahati says coming into harmful contact with a deaf mute, a mentally defective person or a minor is a bad thing. So whoever stumbles against them always loses. Whoever wounds them is liable for the 5 categories, or for some of them.
Who do you pay
whichever
then?
apply to
You
you.
pay the
But if they
child?
wound others, they are exempt.
But wait, if
So
you,
they're not mentally competent, they are not punishable.
okay, but how do,
That's
who do you pay when you wound them? Who do you pay? The parents?
Right, Shota?
When you wound them,
They have money.
huh? They get the money? Who gets the money then? How do you
They do.
pay? They do the kid, the
The
kid.
winners! That's why Yafa Kolach.
You give the kid money for damages?
That's Yafa Kolach.
He doesn't know what to do with the money.
Well, they don't talk about kids. The they only kind of like
Few
say the
damages you-
dinim are the same as a katan for just like you know that's all. It's not necessarily
So if you damage a child,
Yeah.
who do you pay?
Probably his father.
His father?
Yeah. Probably his father. Otherwise, he's a-
Buy me for candies.
Pay the father. Okay.
Yeah, but in the area by us, we have a kid that walks in the middle of the year, walks into the house. And everybody, he goes from house to house. Everybody buys shut there. Kid. Nobody bothers him. He sits. He goes from house to house.
It's polite. Yeah.
Can't stop.
What?
He's got money.
We got every instruction. You're not gonna get a,
Very thoughtful of you.
no getting out, right, no getting out of it. Yeah.
No, Kadi is just translations of it, but there's no whatchamacallit. There's not even any Bartanora on it.
Oh, really? There's no Bartanora?
There's no Bartanora on that section.
Okay, so we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Okay, let's read the Mishnah. Okay, anyone like to begin? Let's just read the Mishnah again to review. Mishnah Dalet, correct? There we go.
Okay, I'll do it. Charesh shota bekatan pigi asan ra'a. A meeting with any of those three is a bad meeting.
Bad encounter.
Hachovel bahen chayav. That's chovel is damage.
Yeah.
They're
Wounds the ones who strikes them. Who strikes them, who wounds them, damages them.
The other party is chayav. Veheim shechavlu, and they, when they damage, ba'acherim, other people, piturin, they're exempt. Eved, va'isha, slave or woman, pigi asan ra, is also a bad meaning. Ha-chovel bahem, if you had damage then you're obligated. Behem shechavlu ba'acherim, and they, if they damage somebody else, pturim, they're exempt. But mishalmin, they pay la'acha, afterwards. La'acher's zman, after some time.
Okay, so now first of all, that statement, Acher Zman, Shmar was never mentioned by a Chorashot of a Katan. It was only mentioned by an Isha or an Eved. Correct?
Well, how is Isha after Zman?
Okay.
What is talking about?
Okay, so take a look at, there's the Furst Yisrael, there's a Chav Gimel after the word Zman, that's the Furst Yisrael, a Chav Gimel. Right? That you have there. That says Metchila b'nei tashlumim, meaning initially they were obligated to pay. Brak shehein lehem mishalem, right? They have no money to pay.
So a technicality.
It's a technical, meaning all that the woman owns, the wife owns, belongs to the husband. All that the Eved owns belongs to the master. So they have no what to pay. Right? So at that point, when they do the damage, if they're married or if he's a slave, they have not what to pay with. So, but la'acher zman, meaning, as it says,
can have money.
And it's not, it can, but it's unusual. Meaning, the Mishnah in general is going to talk about the usual case. Let's say that you have a woman that in fact did have money of her own, so then it probably would be a different halakha, but that's not usually the case.
But even though the Mishnah is broken up this way, they're really two different concepts from the first thing before.
Yeah.
Because the case of the Cheresh Shot Katan is no das, so they can't be held responsible for what they did at that time.
Right.
This is different for the Isha.
Exactly. You see,
Because
in contrast,
the Isha really is responsible at that time. She just never way with her.
That's right. That's right.
Not the same.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Here she's responsible. He doesn't have what to pay with, right? There, with the cotton, we'll get to it in a minute. Just so, what does mean akazman? This garsha yisha v'ishcharo evit chayv l'shalom. When the woman is divorced, right, or the slave is freed, then they're obligated to pay. They have to pay, right?
Very interesting. Now we're talking here about what kind of a slave.
This Eved Ivri, I imagine. Well, not so clear. Eved Kanani also has mitzvahs called Isha, right?
Right.
Right.
Should be considered. I think it would have to be another class. Because the Eved Ivri, I don't think you would consider the Yisha Chrei. You don't have that releasing situation.
There's no
you're just paying off. You're not paying off your debt. It's not a shikur. A shikur should only be an Eved Kanani.
Right.
Well, on the other hand, with an Eved Ivri, he's very likely to be freed, because the halacha is that he should be freed. Whereas with an Eved Kanani, he's very unlikely to be freed, because the halacha is that you're not allowed to free him.
No, you can use the word free though for the Eved Ivri. An Eved Ivri is really someone who's using his services to pay off a debt, not someone who's bound totally like Momo. And if it Kanani, he's almost like the Momo, like the chattel of the person,
Right.
without getting into the slavery before the Civil
Right,
War.
but that's what I'm saying, so the Eved Ivri, you would think,
Shouldn't the word Shichor doesn't apply to him?
you would think that he should pay,
Yes, he should pay.
because he's likely to
Right.
come to
That's why I
pay.
said.
He should pay because he's
Where you
an
think that the
Eved.
Eved,
He's an Ivri, he should pay, like any Eve.
If you take a look at the Malachas Shlomo, take a look, you see the Malachas Shlomo there, in the inside column on the right side, it has, by the Dalet there, in the Malachas Shlomo, Chorus Shot of the cotton Pigiyos and Raw. Right, why is it the Pigiyos and Raw? Afilu Nispatcha HaCherish, even if the Cherish will get well now, right, he was a Cherish when he did the damage, and now he became two. He became sane. Nispasa Shoiter, let's say the Shoiter also became sane again. Vehigdil Katan, and the Katan became adult. Ein Chayav L'Shalim, they're not obligated to pay. Shekasha Shechoyvlu Lehen Ein Lo Hayu B'nei Deya. Because the time when they did the damage, they weren't B'nei Deya. They had no das.
they're not
It's
responsible.
like a cow. A cow, you can ask money from the cow. It's not that the cow doesn't have money to pay. You could say that. But the cow doesn't have debt. Right? The cow doesn't, they don't have debt. Meaning, so what that means, that it means that they were never obligated. There was no, putter, that's it. There's no claim against them. If there was a claim against them, like the Isha, right, or the Eved, there's a claim against them, but they don't want their putter because they don't have what to pay. So when they do have money to pay, they should pay. But here, there's not even a claim against them. There's nobody to claim against.
That's clear.
So that's what we're looking for. So we have to say the same shot with our Gemora. So when the Gemora says Yofa Koycham, they have a strong koyach, right? They have, right, no obligation to pay because they're in fact they don't have das. They're not obligated. There's no claim against them. So by a child who there's no claim against, and you see, right, that what you see that the shore that does damage, right? Even though if they did damage, they don't have to pay. So what would you say about a shore that damages them? Would there be a chiyuv of skila or not? That's what we're trying to find. That's what we're trying to discover.
Right, so the Kol V'chomer wants to say that since we see that the Tom is killed, if it kills an adult is weaker than a child. Therefore, isn't it logical that if a Tom kills a child, it should be killed?
That was what
That's the logic.
That was logic, exactly.
And then the Gemara refutes it by saying, but the adult is chamor because he's chayiv for the mitzvos, and child is kal, he's not, and you can't learn from chamor to kal. So Rabbi Levitt says, well, but wait a second, the second one is a svara, it's not a halacha. We're back to where we started.
Well, you could ask another question that just occurred to me. What are we trying to prove here? We're trying to prove that the shore is chayav skila, right? It's chayav skila if he's killing a child, right? A shore is also part for mitzvahs.
Oh, the owner of the shore has to pay.
But that's what you're talking about skila to the shore. The payments can be made. The owner has to pay. Right? But the skila, we're trying to learn how to get of skila, of einish to the shore. You want to punish the shore. You want to give him skila. We know that a muad gets skila by an adult and by a child. Right?
We know, we have pasuk.
Right, but a tam, okay, so a tam by muad we know, but what about a tam by a child? What's the din? Does this get skila? If you're talking about patur for mitzvah, the shore is patur for mitzvahs also. There's a bigger shota than anybody in the whole situation over here.
Right, but that's not relevant because we're not trying to compare the tom to the adult or the tom to the child in terms of kol v'chomer.
Well, in a certain way we are. What was the basis of the first kol v'chomer? Right? You see that the children, for example, are
We're
patur.
we're
They have
comparing a muad to a tom,
yeah.
right? Well, both of them are the same. Both of them are not chayiv. So that's
Yeah,
that's
but
irrelevant.
we're trying to transfer the halachas that exist by the children, right, to derive a din that applies to the shore.
Right, we're trying to say that in the case of an adult, both a muad and a tom are chayiv skila.
Right.
So therefore, shouldn't it be in the case of a child also both the muad and the tom are chayiv?
Why? Because of their patur, because of their patur. They have a patur in terms of paying damages. The children have a patur of paying damages.
Right. Right.
So you're comparing the children to the shore. There is a
No, we're
transfer.
comparing the children to the adult. We're saying the adult is chayiv to pay damages, the child is potter to pay damages.
But you're transferring that comparison is being transferred to create a halacha that should be by the shore.
Right. But I still don't think you're comparing the shore to the child.
Well, in terms of the kol chomer, that's what you're weighing against. You're weighing the strictness and the leniencies of adults and children, right? And transferring and making a logical transfer based on those criteria to the criteria of the shore. How does a child's obligation or lack of transfer to an obligation on an animal?
Does the Torah say that the shore is chayav with
Yeah, but that's only we know that by muad, but we don't know by tam, by a cut.
You say killing an adult, what's the difference between killing an adult and killing a child? They're both people.
Okay,
They're both people. Why
right.
should there be a difference?
If that's the case, then we don't need the question of the Gemora. We have no question of the Gemora. Right? I mean, assured, but you see you see from the fact that by a muad, the Torah had to go out of its way and write both by a muad and by a tam. Both by an adult, both by a child. So when you're lacking that statement of the Torah of a tam in terms of its killing a child, you're lacking that statement of the Torah. So how do we know? How can we prove that a tam that kills a child will be chayav skila? That's what the Gemora is trying to prove here.
We only know that Moses is chayav because we have a pasuk on that, right? That's how we know. If we didn't have, we wouldn't have known that either.
So we wouldn't have known that either.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want, you can just see if we touched on the point about the woman and the wife and the Eved. You can see the Rav Bartanur, he speaks about that just to finish up the opinion. In his Garsha, let's say in his Garsha, Isha V'nishkara Eved. The woman became divorced, or the slave was free. Yeah. Rachel, you want to read that first?
Okay. V'kanu nechasim, they acquired the property. Chayvim l'shem, they are obligated to pay.
It's not just enough that they get divorced or the evidence free, because they may not still have any properties. But after they've been freed from their obligations to their master or their husband, then after that they acquire some properties. At that point,
Doesn't the owner have an obligation to send the slave out with wherewithal?
yeah.
So then he does have
Oh,
some.
so then, yeah, if that's enough to cover it, then it'll take from there. Yeah, that's true, very true.
Chayvim l'shem, shehave mitchila in chayvim. in the beginning they are obligated. Or rather, they don't have anything to say. שנכנסי מלוק של אישה משועבדים לבעל.
לפירות.
The בעל, the פירות, what's it called? And the Yerusha.
Meaning, so he's answering a question, meaning you could say, well, the woman does. The woman does have, she has mixing malum. Right? So he says no, because really she can't do anything with that mixing malum. It's more or less what we call meshubid to the Baal. It's in escrow. It's in escrow, very good. It's an escrow to the Baal because he has a right to eat the payers, that he can do things with it and get the profits from that mixing malum, that principle that she brought into the marriage, or he's supposed to yarshin her, he's supposed to inherit her, right?
So
then
she can also have iron sheet.
That's nixay son barzel, right? Nixay son barzel. So also that the Baal has the ability to get the profits from the nixay son barzel, right?
What's the difference between nixay son barzel and nixay maluk?
Oh, nixay son barzel is basically, if it's nixay son barzel, I mean, let's say she brought into the marriage 1,000 sheep, and let's say they're worth $1,000, 10,000. Right? So at the end of the marriage, for whatever reason, he's got to give her back 1,000 sheep, or the equivalent of whatever's worth originally.
Oh.
It's son barzel, it's ironclad. That's a fixed amount. Fixed amount. Let's say this.
Maluk, he just gives her back the property.
Right. He has. If something happens to it, there's less liability.
But in both cases, he actually owns it during the marriage.
He has what we call skus. He has rights.
Rights to use it.
He's the owner of it. She can't sell it.
Well, you can still say it's hers, but he has the rights to use it.
No, what I'm saying is,
it's mortgage.
The question here is, if she has an obligation to pay something, can she use her nixay maluk or her nixay ton barzel to pay off the debt?
No, that's not necessary.
I'm saying that's because he owns it.
He has right. It's not that he owns it. He's preventing her from using it. He has a veto. Is a better word for it. He has a veto.
You're playing semantics.
So you're playing semantics when you say it's hers. It's not his. It's not his.
Let's say she has an apartment and she made a 50-year lease with somebody. Right? Can she sell it within the time of the 50-year lease? So technically she could, right? But it's going to be a very hard time to get the renter off the property. He has a lease for 50 years, right? So she could transfer title, right? But then the titles are going to be not going to be able to affect the person who's leasing it. So even if the husband's like leasing the property.
So you're saying she can't sell it?
Perhaps she could sell it, but it's only going to be a transfer of ownership. It's not going to be. It's not going to affect, especially in terms of what he said. The Yorsh, he has the right to Yarshin her. So really, she can't really sell it out from underneath the husband. He's relying on that.
So you're saying he has no lien on it because he inherited?
It's collateral. So I mean, Mishubadim. They're in escrow to the Baal. The Baal has like a unrevocable lease on the properties. In theory, it's hers.
But she could still sell a contract on that property.
Right, but it's only going to be on paper. It's not going to affect the Baal's
She can
usage.
get money for it.
Yeah.
Therefore,
I mean, it's going to be
get
obvious.
money and she could pay off her debt.
Yeah, in theory she could. But again, I don't think we're looking that far down the line. I think it's like, she's not. I don't think she's obligated to do it. First of all, because she's going to take a loss.
Right.
She's going to take a loss. No one's going to buy that property at the full value.
Right.
And she's going to lose her right to that. Therefore,
right.
So she's not obligated to do that, to pay her damages. Apparently. Yeah, the Tosfos speaks about the Tolas and all. There is a value, right? There's a value for the properties. But again, it's at such a reduced level that, I don't think they would obligate it to
It's
do
like
that.
saying she owns the apartment, right? But remember, she owns the apartment. And there's, so to speak, like rent coming in on the apartment. If she sells it though, it's not like she can sell it, now there's no longer rent coming in, he's still entitled to that rent that whole time along the way. So somebody would only be owning the apartment of paper without paying, wouldn't want to pay all that money to not get the rent from it, it's lost, the value is now not the same.
So someone may pay at a very reduced level, they'll pay a certain amount to get the lease, the title. They'll pay to get the title, but again, she's gonna suffer a loss. No one's gonna pay a full value for that. Okay, so, Mr. Shem, Robert, maybe we'll discuss the answer. But no, what we discussed today should be a little bit, help you understand whatever Rabbi Levitt is going to be discussing with you and lead to the answer of this question.
Elucidated it a bit.
Okay.